Welcome to Kasterborous. My name is Christian Corley, and this week we are heading straight into the Robots of Death. James and I convened recently to watch the 1977 classic. We recorded it on Zoom. There is a full video of our reaction commentary that you can watch on the Patreon. That's a whole 90 minutes of us chatting purely about the Robots of Death. That you will find at patreon.com/Kasterborous, where you'll also find our Kasterborous archive and all the videos that go with our podcasts, various other extra material that you should head over there and check out. It comes with a 7-day trial as well, so I'd recommend that you do that. This week's podcast for you is going to be 45 minutes of myself and James talking about the Robots of Death parts 1 and 2, followed next week by the second half of it, presenting it in a bite-sized chunk for you so that you're not overwhelmed and it doesn't infringe too much into your commute or however you listen to your podcasts. So you can watch this along with us if you like. In our heads as we record these, we imagine that you are also watching the episode with us, whether you just want to listen to us chatting about the Robots of Death as we watch it, or you gearing up to watch it yourself. There's a little count-in at the beginning of the episode so that you can more or less be in sync with us. Okay, that's enough for this intro. Let's get into the Robots of Death. James, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready enough. Okay,
I'm about to hit play. If you want to listen, if you want to watch Robots of Death, it's on iPlayer, isn't it? And
yep.
I've got it on disc. And you can listen to us rambling on over the top of it as you watch it. What better way to spend your weekend?
If you've got a time travel machine, you could probably go back to 1976 and watch. Or was it 77?
76. It's all 77.
Yeah, well, you want to get it right. If you've got a time machine and you've got a one-off shot and you get there like 9 months early or like 9 months late, that would be really disappointing because you ain't got any videos to find that stuff.
Well, there's a few of them knocking around, but they're like £2,000 or something ridiculous. So yeah, it's.
Well, you're going to need that £2,000 for the uranium. You're going to need to get Back to the Future. Oh, yeah. I actually didn't mean that pun, but it came out, didn't it? Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Oh, now I see why they used it.
Yeah, but it was plutonium. Anyway, yeah. So and Doctor Who. Actually, we're recording this on the 20th of February. The final part of the Robots of Death aired on the 19th of February, 1977, which is. Good timing. Don't know how we've
1977. Okay, so you would have been early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we've stumbled into getting the timing so close there. So let's commence the Robots of Death with those familiar opening titles in 3, 2, 1.
These familiar opening titles, the ones that I dreamed of seeing when I was a kid in the 80s. Again.
Did you?
Because it meant so. Yeah, I remember really missing it as a kid, and when the first DVDs came out, and I think it was Death to the Daleks was the first one I got, and it has the Pertwee end version of the similar time tunnel as you get in this one, and it wasn't quite right, and I remember looking forward to the first Tom Baker I'd get with this, and then a few years later I was like, nah, I prefer the 80s version. I just like the music, it's just cool. But I've always loved this. I think one of the things I'll just say with Robots of Death, which when we decided to do this one, which sparked my memories, is this was one that I first read and saw. I remember reading the Target novelization, which was in the school library, and I was fascinated when I saw it because it's one of those occasions where how I imagined it is not how it was. How it was. I think for the San Minor in my brain, I was thinking more of like this. I don't know, like the skiff, not the skiff, but the sail barge in Return of the Jedi. Something. Yeah. More flat and deserty than rocky, which is wrong, but that in my head is what it was. And while obviously I knew what the robots looked like, I didn't know what the people looked like or the sets. And I was quite shocked to see the sort of design with the sort of heavy brown corridors, the sort of orangey brown corridors design work. And I love it. I think it's great, but It was one of those where I didn't anticipate it to be as it was. The eye makeup and the clothes are very extravagant. It's funny how this one is the one that tied into Chris Boucher doing stuff for the Caldor City and the Blake 7 stuff.
Yeah.
Which link, because it does have a Blake 7 vibe.
It does.
About it. Not just obviously having Brian in there as a proto-Travis, maybe. There's a lot of kind of big names in this, really, isn't there? I mean, for Doctor Who, I mean, you've got Pamela Salem there. You've got Hunter as well, who's quite a big... Russell Hunter, was it?
Russell Hunter, yeah.
Plays
Zuvanov, yeah.
You've got Paul Collins, is it?
David Collins.
David Collins, of course. Paul is the character's name. David Collins,
Yep.
who was Sapphire and Steel, and a little bit in Blake 7 as well.
He passed away quite recently.
And David Bally, who's just appeared on the screen, who just to me always looks like a TV variant of David Bowie. Sort of similar sort of mouth structure and sort of eyes.
And of course, Brian Croucher.
Yep, Brian Croucher of Blake 7 and EastEnders fame.
I've forgotten about EastEnders.
Is he sadly departed as well? I can't remember. Is he still with us?
I can quickly check that out. No, he's still with us.
That.
He's still with us.
Cool. Good to hear. Police box going through space is always a weird one for the time. It's funny how they obviously decided that it was just more effective to have it wandering through space, even though everything in the sequences and in the first episode suggests it goes through a vortex. But in the 80s especially, it was time.
It's floating through space. Floating through a darkened room with some little white lights in the background.
What I always love about this sort of period as well is when you get those close-ups of things like the studio floor. So when she drops the yo-yo and you get this close-up of this dirty studio floor, and you can just tell it's a studio floor.
Yes.
Even though it could be the floor of a space time machine.
Yeah, it's actually John Noakes was rolling around with one of his dogs a few hours before. Yeah,
it's got that intimate BBC feel from seeing that.
Yeah,
this is a quintessential legacy scene.
It's padding though, isn't it?
It's absolute padding, but it's such important padding for the show, broadly speaking, because no one really ever talked about this until this point, and it's a brilliant analogy. Absolutely brilliant. It's if Douglas Adams was attached to this point, I'd have assumed it was the Douglas Adams logic. But yeah, it's brilliant, and I love his little baker's huff of satisfaction when he's actually lining them up in the foreshortening, and he does this little huff.
It's also got it's one of those conversation types where explaining something that seems completely obvious to the character A, explaining to character B, that is then echoed in comedies later on. So you got like Baldrick with the beans, or Dougal with the sheep.
Yeah. Yes. This one's and those are far away. Yes. What did you think about this console room?
I like it. It's not. I mean, I know it's not like it doesn't communicate the idea of a high tech, futuristic technology from another planet that travels through time and space vibe that the previous, the white TARDIS does, and certainly the original TARDIS. But I think by that point, in terms of if you've been watching the show for 12, 13 years at this point, as people had, it needed a change, and it doesn't do that high-tech thing in the same way. But again, it actually does. It just keeps it all hidden, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because as soon as you've got this outlandish exterior, what do you do for the interior? And I know we've obviously grown up with it being, as you say, high tech, and that juxtaposition seems to work in the way that it doesn't. It's such a middle ground, the wooden interior, because it's neither fitting the exterior, but not too far away, because it's like I know this exterior is not meant to be wood, but it's wooden connotations, or it's a weird space. I've never known what to feel. I kind of respect it. I like the fact it has that weird hanging light above the door to give some light at the back, which is kind of a nice touch. And the fact that there is no doors. Obviously, there's some point they went, we had this issue with the original set where we'd have these doors open, but we couldn't really show what's outside. So let's just circumnavigate this by just having a black backdrop and just walk around the side.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I respect that. I think the only thing I have with it, which I feel the shape is a little, the box shape is a little generic. I think that was something quite nice about especially how the original design progressed into a shape which felt not related to the outside. That they had angular walls rather than just straight right angles like a box.
Yeah.
So I think having it in a box shape kind of again creates this weird uncanniness between the outside and the inside. But it does fit Baker.
Yeah,
it does fit where the show is at this moment.
There's some good character exposition in these scenes between the cast. That isn't too heavy. It's not too in your face. It's well communicated and subtle.
Well, I think this show is one which is brilliant for world building.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a really
absolutely
unusual world to build. You know, a sort of high-tech mining craft, people doing a mundane job, but in the high-tech future is interesting. Even down to the point where they have quite unique and thought-out roles. With looking for survey equipment and that sort of level of it, it feels very real.
Yeah.
It feels quite believable, and yet the aesthetic is kind of unbelievable. And I like that. I mean, I don't know. When they have to rush all this stuff out, you just don't know how. Oh, did they catch the studio light then? I don't know how much is planned, but obviously this idea of decadence in the robots being reflected in the design and almost the vanity of the humans on the ship, that they, if you were on a long crawl across broken deserts mining stuff, would you get up every day and apply your makeup in perfect? There's no reason. You're not seeing anyone else but the people you know on that ship, but you do it because there's almost like a social vanity which is embedded into their society, which is reflected in their robots, which is reflected on a ship which would otherwise should be just industrial, but is actually quite decadent.
Yeah.
Their headpieces that Ivanov is wearing there is ridiculously decadent. It's really, authority and value is seen within what they look like. And that then again speaks to these robots and their aesthetic. And there's a lot of which again, I don't know how much of it was intended and how much of it just came together in the rush to get things to work. But it does sort of have a sensibility to it.
Early titles included Planet of the Robots and The Storm Mine Murders.
That sounds very detective fiction, which is obviously what this is.
Well, yeah, it's. It draws on Agatha Christie and Isaac Asimov and Frank Herbert.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's a real nice mesh of all those things, and it's what makes it so great. I think it's only failing this show, and obviously we'll talk about this when it gets through the commentary. It's almost laziness in disguising who the killer is, which just makes it so obvious far too early. And I think that's its biggest disappointment for me. There's a little more thought there, because there was no need for it. I mean, I suppose you could argue when it's going out over 4 weeks, you don't have to be so careful.
No.
But there are real telltale signs just in how they shoot it of who the culprit is. Which if you don't have that and you just got the book, it's a lot more of a mystery.
He says this, but the first time I watched it, I didn't know. I was probably there by the time, but it took me a while.
You see his shoes. It's the only one person who has boots like that. You see his voice is barely disguised as well. And when you see on the screen the shot of, you can see who it is as well, because the actor, in case you haven't watched this the first time, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the clown from Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah, but that worked. I mean, I don't get me on that, because that's an incredible bit of. I mean, that's the difference. I mean, that's what they didn't manage to do here. What Ashes to Ashes did brilliantly, that they barefaced on that season 1 showed you who the clown was, but most people didn't get it until 10 seconds before they reveal. And by
no, you're absolutely right. I didn't mean that Ashes to Ashes. I meant the Bowie Ashes to Ashes, just to tie it in with what you'd already said. But no, you're absolutely right. Yeah. The Bowie Ashes to Ashes. I also like how the scoop in the sand mine as well kind of shows that
the design decision for the rest of the ship isn't just a sort of pulling it out of their butt, sort of quickly, let's do this. It's a deliberate design that the scoop is corroded because of all the sand. It's a mess, and yet the interior is deliberately, for a ostentatious for a landminer. I don't know, it's probably the wrong word.
I know the model work isn't perfect. You do have a little bit of a scaling issue, but the actual design of the model and the use of the CSO for the couple of the scenes is absolutely superb.
Yeah, and it looks really good in itself. I mean, obviously it's too miniaturized for one thing, and I think the other issue, and again a big mistake, which I think is just down to time and lack of thought, and maybe TV people won't notice. As soon as you have a rugged terrain for that miner to be going over, and yet all the interior shots, there's no sense of movement whatsoever, and it's not like a spaceship where you go, there's anti-gravity. It's jarring.
Yeah,
it'd been better to have had, which should have probably done now, almost like a sand miner, which, like I said, a bit like the sail barges in Return of the Jedi, that floats and sucks up as it floats, and therefore you don't have any sense of friction in the interior until it's no longer floating and it's sinking, as they do later on.
Yeah.
All those boxes in the background of the shot with Poole and Ivanov, I wonder what they were. Those wooden boxes for the storage crates, the surveillance crates.
Those are the Doctor Who missing episodes.
That's where they went. I always find it fascinating at this point where the TARDIS is stolen, and you think, like, you don't really need to at this point, because early on you needed to, because there was always this rush to get out of danger and back to the TARDIS. And I suppose you need it in this sense because, one, it adds jeopardy to the moment of being stuck in the scoop, and you want to keep them in the space, but you don't need to lose the TARDIS anymore, which is always kind of interesting, because the Doctor's just not that sort of person. He's inquisitive.
Yeah.
But I love the moment as well when it takes the TARDIS, even though, again, the miniature and the Newbury box do not look identical in any way whatsoever.
You're certainly getting on yours. Yes, but we all know where
it always bugs me with that box, as some people know and some people who don't, is it was only 3 sides and the back of it was just a black sheet. But also they didn't bother with the signage on the back. So you can see on the shot when it's materialized, it's a side shot, that there's no extended police sign on on that right side, because there's nothing on the back. Yeah. And I get it, and I don't mind the box in itself. It's kind of cute, but it's you think, come on. But this interaction's great, and I love the interplay as well that Chris Boucher is such an incredible scriptwriter. For Doctor Who, but also Blake Seven, absolutely amazing writer. For television as well. I mean, these exchanges are dynamic. They hit the murder mystery beat. They really identify the characters. The costume team and director, there's been a lot of thought in making, for a show like this where you do need to identify all the characters really clearly so you can get a sense of who you want to suspect.
Yeah.
The designs for all of them are really distinct. You've got a good mix for the time, especially got kind of a good mix here. You've got a good, ethnicities. So you've got a range of diversity in the group, which just adds to the color of the space and a sense of this being, a people. It's just quite unusual for its era, really. It's just an interesting cast.
Yeah. I was just minded to check out. Yeah, there's Pamela Salem's in 2 episodes in the first run of The Professionals as different characters.
Quite common at the time.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the same run of episodes. Oh, there might be 2. There might be 2 different series. Actually, I do apologise, but yeah, they're quite close together, regardless.
I was just thinking how good Brian Croucher is in this. That scene there where he drops the corpse marker on the palm, and the way he says it, it's just absolutely.
He's very good at menacing, isn't he?
Really menacing in an authentic way.
Yeah.
Because there's sort of a masculinity about him which feels really genuine, and I think probably was quite genuine.
Yeah, he's got the build as well, hasn't he?
And he's got the build. Yeah. There's very little about this story that I dislike. It's just so well woven together. And watching it now and talking about it, which I never have done because I don't have friends, it's just fascinating to talk about it, and just all small things like the bizarre. I mean, this is D84, I assume, who's listening at the door. I can't remember who he saw, which robot goes in. I don't think it is D84 you see take them in. But it's kind of spooky to have one of the robots listening in at the door.
Yeah.
It must mean to be D84, who isn't introduced yet.
It was not well meant. Are the mechanical men friendly?
I think Leela's good in this as well. I mean, it was one of the first times I saw Leela, and I found it quite fascinating how, as an actor, she's having to play both hard, rough, primitive, and yet also having to play this sort of naive, sexy creature of men's dreams at the same time, and straddle those two roles. The way she's sitting on that sofa is really weird.
Yeah.
And obviously clearly directed to sit there in that sort of way, and she's trying to make that look quite natural and sort of almost like someone who's not experiencing a soft furnishing for the first time, which makes sense. But yeah, at this point, I mean, she's wearing eye makeup as well, which you don't think Leela probably would.
Probably wouldn't do. No. I think this sits in an incredible run of episodes, starting with Brain of Morbius for me. Some people are fond of the Android Invasion, and, Pyramids of Mars is right before that. But I think it started with Brain of Morbius. And probably, I'm not really sure where it ends. You've got Mask of Mandragora, Hand of Fear, Deadly Assassin, Face of Evil, Robots of Death, Talons of Wang Chung. You've also got the Horror of Fang Rock and The Invisible Enemy, An Image of the Fendal. And I think that's probably where it starts to tail off.
Well, I mean, Invisible Enemy is a bit of a mess.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it's
So are we saying Horror of Fang Rock then?
Possibly. I mean, there's still some ones in there which I don't think are as great as people.
Well, I mean, say Underworld, in terms of what they were trying to achieve there, and some of the visuals in there, I think they do the job with
but
heavy.
They are. I mean, I don't think anything stands out as much as this and Talons of Wing Chang in terms of like quality and difference.
Sure.
I think the others all feel to some degree of a standard Doctor Who, with bits attached which make them elevate them.
Yeah.
I think these two, this and then Talons, which follows it, are. And Horror Fang Rock is very good too. Having rewatched that recently, I can't deny it's got a good vibe. It's quite dark. But this is just. I would say this is timeless. This one, while Talons, for various reasons, has aged badly in some ways.
Yeah.
Its use of ethnicities is kind of a bit awkward now. The rat still hasn't aged well either.
No. Well, the thing about that as well, of course, is that they're trying to play into a particular a genre, a subgenre, aren't they, with the racial thing? And it was. I mean,
absolutely.
It's not for us to say whether or not they could have foreseen making any changes to that.
No.
It is what it is.
And I mean, it's playing off, as you say, in here. I mean, there's an article, a newspaper piece by P.G. Wodehouse, before that, where he talks about the dearth of detective mystery genre and how it's destroying authorship. And he identifies like there's three villains, and one of them is essentially the villain that would be the person from an Asian country or. Someone trying to claim back.
Look, that's an excellent shot there.
It is an excellent shot. It's just, and it does so much.
Yeah.
In sense of giving scale.
As well as I was talking about before with the CSO sections in the model. It just really works well.
It's really good.
Sorry, you were saying about
no, but Talons is reflective of an era, and again, I'm not knocking it for it, and it's a great story. But I think this one you could watch now, and it probably sits better of a lot of Doctor Who. It probably sits more with today's television than it does with most of them.
Yeah.
It probably sits better than it did at the day. But yeah, some of this stuff's great.
I used to have a torch like that.
Yeah, so did I. Scary. Or my grandmother did anyway. I remember it. I mean, I like this stuff obviously done on film, in these containers, these grain silos. Just adds a sense of. It always makes me wonder that if Doctor Who was all filmed like this, and I know we've obviously there are instances where it was, like Spearhead from Space, but how different it would have felt as a show.
Oh yeah, definitely. It would have felt more like an ITC production for a start off.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? Yeah. Or Minder.
Oh my!
I mean, this all could have been just a side hustle of Arthur Daly, their version of Arthur Daly. He's got
Trying through time and space, picking up bits of sand that looks like breakfast.
Bit of sand that he's using to sell cereal. This isn't cereal, Arthur. It's sand. Oh no, it's what they're eating on the continent. I can guarantee it. Yeah.
So that's part one of Robots of Death. Okay, so we're continuing now with episode 2 of the Robots of Death. We commence in after a count of 3. 3, 2, 1. I prefer watching them episodic. I don't know about you, James, and we've probably said this before. I don't like omnibuses.
No. I suppose in this one I have a little bit of a flexibility with Omnibus because it came out as an omnibus. So when I watched it on VHS, when it was one of the first ones where they were edited together. So you didn't have these breaks. So I'm kind of used to the flow, and it's always weird rewatching it now and having these breaks, like this break in the silo, which I remember when I first watched it, I was always slightly curious, like where the break was.
It's not an easy one to discern, I suppose.
Not really. I mean, I suppose it makes sense when you're watching episodically, but when you're watching as an omnibus, it's not really a major moment. And in a weird way, it's an odd moment because it's clearly made to be a cliffhanger. It doesn't. I mean, he finds the body, and then the body's filled with, as we're seeing, it's filled with ore. I mean, assumedly, this is to simply bury the body. It's not because is it because he's found it? I can't remember if they speak about this later.
Well, we'll find out, won't we? I'm not 100% certain.
I prefer it if it is that he's just stumbled upon the process of getting rid of the body. Oh no, they do say yes. They do say it's because of this, because it's the dead stowaway, isn't it? That's the argument he puts. What's more suspicious than a stowaway, but a dead stowaway, which is an interesting line. But at the same time, it doesn't really feel natural. I mean, because this is playing the mystery. It's the mystery who done it, isn't it? It's and then there were none sort of an approach. Yeah, the little pipe.
Pipe, yeah.
So it is playing with a format more than a sort of authenticity of the story. Because I can imagine Taran Capel might be thinking that, but it would sort of suggest that Taran Capel is really ahead of the game at this point. If he has found a stowaway, located it, and then is offing him at the right time as discovering the body, it's all a bit neat. Yeah. But that fits with the conventions of the murder mystery.
Do you know, I had a shower last night and I brushed my hair back through the middle, and I was thinking I look exactly like that guy at the back desk with the with this almost Wolverine thing going on at the side.
David Bally. Yeah.
I love this shot. I think I said that last time.
I was going to say, oh yeah, it's a great little shot. It's just so unnecessary. It's one of those weird spaces where you don't need it, and I'm so glad they added it because it does give a sense of scale.
Yeah.
But really, in terms of the show, you just don't need it. It's not an important space particularly, but Baker's acting here is good. I mean, obviously, there's a little bit of realism to what he's having to do.
Yeah.
Climb through the ore, but the expression of relief is lovely.
SV7 is this one.
What always blew my mind in this, and I've never understood why it happened, but in terms of like, especially on the novel, the front, if my memory serves, is V3, is the image on the front of the novel, who never appears in the entire show. I don't think we ever see a V3. So why they picked 3 when they obviously, it's a painted image, so clearly, unless it's the same, I'm not sure whether there's a V3 on the original montaged VHS cover, but I'm pretty sure it's V3 on the Target novelisation. V3 never appears in this. It always bugged me as a kid. Was it V5?
Let's have a look.
Have a look while I try and entertain people who should already be entertained by watching the podcast. The DVD and the podcast. I like the other thing I like about this is that the sets are all very different and yet consistent. Like the crew quarter, I never call it, because obviously it's not a prison. It's obviously a guest quarter or quarters where Leela is at the moment. This sort of black, grey look. So this is where I wondered as a kid, was the cliffhanger was D84 coming at Leela.
Yeah.
And she's not sure. To me, even though it felt a little long, I wondered if this was the cliffhanger. I think that's why I was surprised when I found it was the ore, because this feels like a cliffhanger and break to credits with the stings. But yeah, it's in a weird way, it almost feels a better cliffhanger because it feels more meaningful to the story, which is about the robots of death. And here's a robot coming for an episode 1. That feels like the natural.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder whether it was actually meant to be. When you wrote
changed it for timing, maybe.
Yeah, and changed it for timing, yeah. Because it just feels like a natural end point for episode 1.
It is V3 on the cover of the...
it is V3. Well, okay, while we're watching
edition.
this, and anyone who is... Or anyone, the person listening to this at home, or you're watching this, if you see a V3, if you find a V3 on... But I'm pretty sure there isn't.
The other thing about the cover is it kind of looks like Tom Baker's playing snooker with the brain probe. The Lesterson probe, is it called?
Can't remember now. We will find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Is there anyone left alive to tell?
I mean, the murder mystery is a fascinating genre. It's one I've been looking at the moment for something I'm writing. And this notion that's sort of embedded in it, especially the sort of classical, shall we call it, cozy murder mysteries, this notion of like fair play between the author and the reader, and there was I think it was Divine back in the late 20s wrote in a magazine, American magazine, a list of like a list of things that are key essential to the murder mystery,
right?
And and these were like fair play rules, things which the author could or couldn't do. And the whole notion, obviously, is that the murder mystery is a bit of a game, that the reader, or the watcher in this case, should be able to feel like they can work it out, that nothing should be done that prevents, that is too left field or too underhand, that the reader wouldn't be able to pick up on. So this sort of, the 20s and 30s era, this very classic era of murder mystery, is very much based on this notion of game, on the fair play, that as we watch this, we should have the opportunity to feel like that we can work it out. And the author should be thinking in that way. That was the sort of notion back at the time, in the sort of Agatha Christie era, that the author should be thinking about this as a game almost. A game between the author and the reader. There's even like a detective society where all the authors of the detective genre, sort of almost Masonic, would come together, and Christie was in there as well, where they would all come. Because back in the early 20th century, this was actually a kind of derided genre. This was like social media content, the murder mystery. It was absolutely... There's a great article by P.G. Wodehouse, which I've got somewhere, where he just guns this genre down. He absolutely hates it.
My children are doing an Inspector Calls at school, which I'm not familiar with, so I got a quick précis from my daughter last night, because we never did it. I don't think we did anything 20th century and British. The only thing we did at school was like Shakespeare and To Kill a Mockingbird, I think. But I was quite interested by the apparent twist in it that she told me, and slightly disappointed as well that she told me it.
I have the same issue, which I have this long running sort of, I wouldn't call it even a joke, because I think it actually annoys her a bit. But my sister, years ago, in a conversation, I might have even said this on the podcast, gave me the ending to the Murder on the Orient Express.
Right.
And I was quite annoyed, because once I found out it was such a brilliant ending, and I hadn't yet read it or seen it, I felt it was robbed from me. But her argument was, you've had time to have read and seen this. But we've never really got past that impasse. This is a really good scene. I think Ivanov is really good here. This I'd be careful if I was you. And Baker's, no doubt you would. This real sense of a small man in big shoes. And the way Russell Hunter plays it as someone who is empowered, but he does look scared. He does look out of place. This sort of interplay between him and Baker is just so well done. I'm sorry, I thought it was a rhetorical yes, it's just a coincidence. Yes, we hope they're guilty. Some brilliant writing at this point. And the way they all play it is really nice. There's only one bit of direction here I think it's in this scene that I don't like, and it's very murder mystery. And it's Ivanov. I think it's coming up. Oh yeah, right, here we are. What could be more suspicious than a dead stowaway? A stowaway, a dead stowaway.
There's something else about this scene, which is something that isn't uncommon in classic here, but it's something we don't get so often now. And that is, I think, this kind of the Doctor's reputation preceding him into the minds of the actors. So this has been acted as if this is a stranger on their ship and they're scared and people are dying, etc.
Yeah.
Whereas a more modern Who there's a kind of undercurrent that the person who's never met the Doctor knows who the Doctor is, and the message of the script, and maybe it's in the script or whatever, it just feels more authentically these people are scared. Whereas if this was a modern Doctor, it feels like these people kind of know what's going to happen next.
Well, I think the beauty of this episode is that we've got to see these characters in situ when they're not scared. So now we can see them start to fall apart when they are. So we've got that nice transition here. I think this is the bit I don't like. I think it might be the blocking here, but between Zelda and Hunter and Ivanov here, where is it this bit? I think it is. Yeah, it might have been the way that she turns away from the cat. Actually, it's not too bad now, but I remember as a kid feeling it just felt a little artificial, just the way that he came over and where she was placed in the scene. It just, I don't know, it didn't feel as natural as the rest of the shots. Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. I think it's there's a line in there, and I think I've said this again in the podcast. One of the people we've had on the past podcast before, Simon Daines, who, as I've said on the podcast before, by weird coincidence was my teacher at school. I always remember, and if he listens to this, he'll probably blow his mind because he won't. But there was a point in one of the lessons where he turned around and he quoted from Robots of Death to someone, and he did the, you have the your classic example of the inverse ratio between the size of the mouth and the size of the brain, but he said it the wrong way round. He said the size of the brain and the size of the mouth, and that always stuck with me because in the back I was like, yeah, I know where you got that from, and also you got it wrong. Of course, I didn't say anything because it was a tense moment in the class, but stuck with my memory for decades. But yeah, I just love all the stuff of this. I like this scene as well. The ridiculousness of the combination of the. Because again, it's one of those things in Doctor Who which gives you a question of like, is he genuine about this? Is he genuine that he is now going to be there for several months trying to decipher this code?
Yeah. There's also there's the other side of this. There's Louise Jameson does an excellent line in reaction shots. That one in the previous shot of her looking at him could be a GIF.
I think their relationship, their on-screen relationship on this is something which is perhaps often eclipsed by Romana and Sarah Jane Smith, which is a shame because I think I prefer Leela to both of them in that sort of sense. I find Leela as a character a little awkward because she's set up to be the father's, the dad in the room's perfect dream. She's skimpily dressed. She's got a lot of bite, but she's also quite naive and needs to be sort of told what to do. There's some things sort of like pseudo.
Well, there's that, isn't it?
Infantilized about her, which
yeah.
But I do like how she plays in the stories and how she plays with the Doctor.
There's also a lack of consistency, which I know is not uncommon in characterisation of companions in classic Doctor Who, but it feels like she's set up to be one thing. Like Sarah Jane, she's set up to be one thing, and she slowly devolves into the archetype.
Or devolves.
Or devolves into this, what by this point has become a stereotype.
Yeah. I mean, with Leela, I suppose the great thing about Leela, and in some ways the antithesis to Romana, is that because she is meant to have a lack of knowledge, she's in the perfect position for the what's going on Doctor.
Yeah.
But also because she's aggressive and has personal agency, she's also in a position to also be more than just a what's going on Doctor. She can actually have quite an aggressive push in a story. But yes, I've always been slightly icked about how she's clearly played for the fathers and how her personality, the untamed vixen, the person who has to be tamed, has to be civilized, a sort of Pygmalion element to it, I've never particularly liked, but I like how Jameson plays it.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you.
How she works in the story.
Although I mean, in many ways, I mean, obviously there's nothing we can do about it now. I'm just grateful that they decided not to black her up, as some of the early promotional test shots indicated. She's wearing, that makeup, whether it's supposed to be muck or it did look like it wasn't supposed to be muck, but.
I don't know. I assumed it was very lazy tribal paint. I don't know. I think if they had, and they wouldn't at the time, and they probably even wouldn't now, if they'd given her sort of less savage clothing. I think she's good in Talons, where they actually give her a good outfit until she has to pull it apart.
Yeah.
And they perhaps made her look a little less. Again, it's TV, I know, the eyeshadow and, the carefully conditioned hair. If they'd made her more of a savage. Yeah,
I was looking at the hair just now and I was thinking exactly about the same thing about the hair. That is not the hair of someone who's lived on a camp.
And again, I'm not digging on Jameson because this is kind of how they wanted her. But like there, when she leaves, when she gets out of the embrace and she does the thank you, which is quite funny, but the way she does it in her body language is not that of a savage. No. It's that of an English woman, British woman playing a part, an actress, a contemporary character, which I like. But it's not. I don't think again it's that consistency thing. But they didn't want consistency. I mean, the way she's looking at Poole here is really weird, and I get what she's doing. As an actress, I get she is trying to look like she's someone out of her place and is just trying to absorb. She's looking, there's an intent look. She's trying to break it in. But the angle and the way that she's framed, it almost looks like almost a sex scene's about to break out. And again, because she's in this she's sort of close to Poole, too close to Poole. Mm. Her head is over her shoulder, her hair is swept back. It's a weird sort of tension that's going on in who she is. But at the same time, it does, in a weird way, I guess, make her quite alien because she's not a proper savage. She's a alien savage. She's a... But yeah, her relationship with the Doctor, and I also like with Leela, as we're seeing in this, she's very much corpse markers. She's very much there, as we said, the Pygmalion, the My Fair Lady thing. There's almost like a reason behind the relationship with the Doctor, which you don't really get again till, probably till Ace. This idea of someone learning from the Doctor and being with them as someone.
The other thing, which I think we kind of alluded to previously, is the scale of this story and the backstory, and what we're getting now is there's a lot of stuff going on at the same time, which is again like a classic detective story.
Yes, yeah, it's very bold. I mean, this whole idea of the founding fathers and these different sort of societal groups and tensions is quite a lot to be putting into a story which is about robots going around a minor space killing people.
Aimed at 10-year-olds.
Aimed at 10-year-olds, but it does give it a real authenticity. Well, it's that whole thing. It's a bit like with 2000 AD. They always said, even if you're going to have kids reading it, you write for adults in a weird way. You write for yourself.
Yeah.
To make it interesting. Or Bruce Timm used to say with the Batman animated series, it was written for 11-year-olds, but it was written for intelligent 11-year-olds like me. It's what I would like to have seen when I was 11.
Well, I think Terrence Dicks said something similar, didn't he?
Did he?
I believe so, yeah. I've got him saying it in my head. It might have been in the 30 Years in the TARDIS documentary.
Oh, interesting. I always thought he was limited to saying that the blue police box spanned through the vortex. Inside was a behemoth figure stood around a multi-sided console.
No. Terrence Dicks, of course, joined Brian Terranova 13 years ago for a chat, which is on the Patreon at the moment.
Nice drop. But again, this is... I think what I love about this story is it feels like... And it goes back to what you're saying, could they do it now? And I'm not sure they could. I feel like I'm mansplaining what you already said earlier. Mansplaining. But it's very much a murder mystery first and a Doctor Who story second. That all the characters are of equal relevance to the Doctor in this. It's almost as if this could have been shown to some degree without Doctor Who really ever being a thing. A mysterious person appears on a landmine or in a space and people start to die. I always like this scene as well. I thought this is great. This little bit of is it Macbeth? By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. No, I can't, and neither can you. Yeah. It's embedded in my memory. Used it in the song once. Which I think probably was more of a homage to Robots of Death than it was to Shakespeare.
Please don't say I told you so.
What happened?
Just to reverse back to what we were saying just there about the Robots of Death and its scale and the Doctor or otherwise, Gareth Kavanagh, friend of the show, has done a production of Robots of Death without the Doctor in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure what year it was. I'm going to say probably 10 years ago.
But I mean, it's brilliant thinking because you can really just extract the Doctor. And again, Boucher went on to do a whole series, that explored this world.
Yeah.
And as did others as well.
Are they books and audios?
There's books and audios, yeah.
This is the Calder City, isn't it?
There's the Calder City stuff, but that's Alan, isn't it? Is it Calder City Alan stuff, or is that Boucher as well? Oh, I can't remember now. My brain is becoming muddy in my old age. But yeah, no, it's become its own life, and I think that's a testament to sort of the world building in this story. I mean, it is fascinating, and I know, in a weird way, I would say no, but I'd also, as a as somebody who really enjoys the story, I'd love to see the show actually go back to this.
V3!
Oh, there is a V3 there. Oh, well, there you go. And it was a V3 on the cover.
Yes.
So that was a V3. Well, I'm glad they picked the most important robot to have on the cover. He must have been thrilled. Yeah. Yeah, interesting out as well. It's funny because I suppose in one way my brain says the murder mystery doesn't really need these like peak moments that need to punctuate for cliffhangers. But then I suppose it does. And there are moments throughout a classic murder mystery where there are those sort of moments of revelations or jeopardy, which... And I suppose in this it does have an impact, doesn't it, with the sand miner being sabotaged.
Yeah,
it does play into the rest of the story. I'd love to know actually how much impact Robert Holmes had in the script, because we talk about Boucher's script being great, and Boucher's stuff is always great, but I wonder what sort of impact Holmes had in developing this, because he was always a character man.
Yeah.
And this story is very much character.
Okay, so that's the end of episode 2 of The Robots of Death. Parts 3 and 4 will be with you via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or however you get this podcast next week. If you want to get the whole thing, as I say, you can find it on our Patreon. So head over to patreon.com/Kasterborous to find out more about that. And also, if you want weekly updates, articles, etc. from myself and James and other people, then do subscribe to the Kasterborous newsletter. That is available. You can just go to kasterborous.co.uk and it should forward you on to our newsletter. We'll be back with the rest of this podcast next week, and over on the Patreon you'll find additional material popping up midweek as well, a classic interview by Brian Terranova. Until we speak to you again, goodbye.